see it, a soft scrape, like a twig being drawn across stone. Breath fogs the ridge air. Fingers of pale growth curl at the edge of a cracked boulder, and slowly, impossibly, the moss closes into a loop that looks for all the world like a fingerprint. Then someone leans in and reads it aloud, because the lichen has done something no one expected. It spelled a name.
Do you feel that? The ridge holds its breath with you. I'm Samnang. Find somewhere dark and quiet. Put your headphones on. Tonight's story is called The Lichen That Remembers. Listen closely now.
Mara kept a tiny notebook in her back pocket, always. She'd squint, flip a page, and say, "That's not the same as that one." Short, specific, personal. She was a volunteer mycologist, the kind of person who liked small things that took time. Shale underfoot, the damp scent of old rain, the silver edge of a lichen ridge. Her weekends were for cataloging, locations, shapes, the way a patch leaned into shadow.
On the first pass, it read like an oddity. A scrape of sandstone beneath a cairn, a lichen loop that echoed a boot tread, a faint straight line that could be a letter. She photographed it, wrote Patch A, boot tread, short line, and filed it away. At the diner, she mentioned it, and folks shrugged. Nature's clever, someone said. Just weather. Small things get flattened into easy explanations when people have lived with loss for a long time.
Weeks later, another patch showed up on a far outcrop. A whorl like a fingerprint, ridges of green tracing a loop you could follow with your fingertip. Mara started stacking photographs, dates, coordinates. She matched them, one by one, against cold case files. A missing hiker here, a camper there. The ridge seemed to be making notes, and Mara, stubborn and curious, began to read the ledger.
She went to the park ranger with her binder. He liked rules in neat rows, clips, logs, permits, and he squinted at her photos. "I've seen lichens do strange things. Wind, water, time," he said, and turned a page. He made a clipboard entry and left it in the log. But Mara wasn't stacking pretty pictures. She was stacking coincidences until they lined up like evidence.
In the days that followed, investigators opened files. Old searches were dusted off. Listen closely now. Imagine walking the same paths you once avoided. Mara sat in a room with stern men who asked, "Evidence? From moss?" That question, evidence from moss, is the hinge. Because what a community does next is as much judgment as investigation. We needed to decide, protect the land or extract proof. And that decision lives at the heart of the story that follows.
Then Elise walked into town hall with a jacket folded in her arms, worn at the seam. She'd lived with an absence for years. People make rooms around missing people, don't they? When she saw a photograph from Mara's binder, she froze. "That's his sleeve," she said. "That's the seam." Her voice didn't rush. Grief rarely does. The room changed. The town that had shrugged suddenly had an argument in its chest.
Word spread. Some came with candles and creased photos. Others came with clipboards and questions. The ridge began to feel less like a neutral map and more like a witness. Unconscious, indifferent, but insistent. People argued fiercely about what to do with what the land had offered. Should anyone scrape a sample? Should this be preserved in place? Who decides what counts as proof of a life gone missing?
A storm found the quarry by morning. Rain came angled and hard, the sky a sheet of flat metal. On a certain slab, where water ran a different way, the lichen had arranged into a near-complete word, letters rising from the stone like low relief. People crouched so close you could see breath steam in the air.
Camera snapped. Voices tried to stay practical. The letters were not neat, not typed. They were an insistence carved in green.
When the name opened, a curve that matched a nickname, a cluster of letters that resonated. The sound in the crowd shifted from talk to something softer, a sob, a held breath. Someone started to cry. Officials muttered about preservation and testing. Someone in the back said, "We should scrape it for the lab." Another said, "No, leave it. It's part of the rock now." The night felt like it had memory and opinion both.
They took a small sample anyway, tagged Q17, logged 0914 by H. Morales. The chain of custody looked like ritual. Tiny bag, label, entry in a ledger. Tests were promised, notes were filed, and the stone was fenced off while debates continued. People wanted answers and feared what answers might require. Was the ridge a witness or an altar? Who had the authority to interpret the memory of a place?
Months blurred, files reopened, volunteers walked old trails, grudges resurfaced beside old grief. The family who found the seam on the jacket had a small private reckoning. The lichen had told them something, but not everything. Closure is a greedy thing. It asks for full answers and never quite receives them. Mara kept going back to the ridge, photographing, noting, waiting. And that matters, because if the land remembers, who are we to decide whether those memories are evidence or altar?
In the end, the quarry name remained protected. The sample led to more questions than answers. The lab reported unusual organic patterns, but stopped short of claims that would overstep science. The town adjusted to a new, awkward honesty. The ridge had given them a language and left parts of the sentence unfinished. People who had avoided certain trails began to walk them with different shoes on and different reasons in their pockets. The ledger in green kept growing, but it did not grant absolution.
Years later, at a campsite miles away, a scout noticed a pale ribbon of lichen climbing a fire-scarred rock. It was almost nothing, a tentative curve, an unfinished sentence in green. Someone read the letters and stopped, because a line only means anything when someone knows how to read it. The ridge had begun to send pieces of itself outward, notes that arrive and demand interpretation.
If you're still here, the story followed you all the way to the end. Take a breath. Look around your room. Make sure everything is where you left it. I'm Samnang. If this episode stayed with you, share it with someone who listens in the dark. Subscribe to Nature's Dread so you never miss an episode. Until next time, check the corners. Keep your eyes open, and your lights, maybe not too bright. Good night.